Okay, hi mate. Yeah, really good work in your first lesson back. We're going to talk about this sort of lateral movement in your swing, and we're going to try and add it. Now, most amateurs tend to have too much of it. You've actually not got enough. The reason we're going to add some of this lateral movement in the backswing and in the downswing is to improve the strike. So we're going to try and shift your low point after the ball. We're also going to give you a bit more club head speed by doing that. And also, when you do shift yourself this way, rather than just spin on the spot, this spin also creates the club to go a bit more outside, like we talked about. So if you just stood on the spot and turned, your arms will work away from your body more towards the golf ball. And that's part of the reason why you can get the club a little bit steep and a little bit outside. So you know what you're doing with the shaft in the downswing. This is just looking at the lateral motion in the swing. Let's start on the left-hand side, which was 7-iron and where you started. Now, it's a wider stance on the right. That's a longer club. You've got your 5-iron there. But even for the 7-iron, that's quite a narrow stance. And the narrower you get with the stance, the harder it's going to be to move laterally. So with your feet together, if you imagine that, you only be able to turn on the spot. Any sort of movement left or right with your feet together, you'll lose your balance. So wider stance, at least shoulder width for you. Let's watch the first move on the left-hand side, and immediately that right hip just turns towards the midline of your body. So you can see big gap between your right hip and that red line, almost pushing onto that left side. Like the amount of turn is different class. I quite like how you're moving the club in the backswing too. As you come into impact, you're actually going to just pivot again on the spot. So it's almost like the pressure's going back onto your right foot. Great job with the hands though, to be fair. And that's where you're striking it quite well. But it's all a bit on the spot. There's not enough pressure shifting into that front foot. You're still a bit planted on the back foot. And then eventually there's a little token gesture at the end. So I want that first move to be a definite obvious shift this way. Then your turn's going to kick in anyway, which is great. And then we're going to get you back to the front foot. So let's get that line back in again. Okay, so watch the difference. Left-hand side, that's that immediate twist. Right-hand side, deliberate bump. So you can see your right hip goes to the red line. That's enough. Then your turn's going to really kick in, and under your right foot, you can't see it now, is one of those sort of false pedals. So I want you to shift onto that first. As soon as you feel any pressure onto that, or the pressure increase onto that, start your turn. And then as soon as you can, like we said, can you get off that false pedal and getting back towards that left side. Watch your left hip now. Goes past the green line, pressure forward. Prefer that compared to spin and then spin again. So really good shift on the right hand side. So again, hips past where the ball was, and that's going to move your low point a lot later. So more like ball first, then ground. When you're just spinning as you are on the left hand side, low point could be before the ball. On the right hand side, somewhere after. Plus with that spin, as I mentioned at the start, that kicks the club out and your hands out, can get a bit steep and over the top. And then you'll be off that false pedal at the end. So I thought that was very tidy. Great, this is about your first go at it, to be fair as well. So right hip, little deliberate bump off. And because you do kick in your turn a lot and early, you won't bump off for too long. As soon as you feel the pressure on that false pedal under your right foot, start your turn. And then as early as you want in transition, getting forward. Much better job using the ground there. It's really well done. Any questions on that, let me know. And even at the end there, you can see that right foot as a, you know, if you want to measure it afterwards or have a clue afterwards to how well you've done. If that right foot is still sort of planted on its toes a little bit, probably been a bit on the spot. If the right foot's completely like this, that's not a bad sign. But any questions on that, as I mentioned, let me know. Really good effort that, mate, on your first one back, and catch up soon.